So this is my Bluetti AC70. This is the power station I use when camping and overlanding, and it's great, but it's not always solar out, and I was looking at other solutions and ways to charge this power station. So what I came across was the Pecron car charger, or they call it the smart car charger. Here's a little, we have a little photo here. And so it comes in this little box here, and it's supposed to be able to take the 12 volts from your car when it's running and output 42 volts at 13 amps. So there's the, gotta have it focused there, come on. So you can see the specs for this. So it's supposed to be able to take 12 volts through the XT90 connector. You can choose the starting voltage here, so you can see as well. So you can choose what voltage you want it to start charging your device at. It'll output 42 volts on this end, which you can connect just through typical MC4 connectors right to your power station. When I initially bought this, I knew I was gonna need cables. So I was looking around for what gauge cable. I think I landed on 6 gauge cable, and I would need like 15 feet of each because I would be putting this in a truck. It would end up going in the back seat somewhere. But what I didn't know, and it doesn't specify on the website, is they give you a long XT90 cable, and it's the correct gauge. It comes with a fuse built into it for here, and I actually have not checked how long this is, but it should be exactly how long I need to hook this up properly. So there's the fuse, you can see that. So it comes with a little fuse. It comes with a little fuse block actually, and if you blow that, it's a 100 amp fuse, even though the max this is supposed to draw is 50 amps. But if you do blow this, you can pop open the block and replace it with a new one, which is nice. And the end comes with this huge beefy XT90 connector. It even has seals around it, which I appreciate. So when it actually does go into the unit, just like this, it's a tight, almost waterproof connection in there. So you shouldn't have too many issues there. And the other side are just these little ring connectors, so you can bolt directly to your car's battery. So I'm actually using my Bluetti here to hold the end of the XT90 down. So we'll see how long this is. And this tape measure only goes to 16 feet, which that's what it's at right now. It's at about 16 feet. And this is just over 16 feet. So that is a very long cable. I think it is 6 gauge wire, which is very useful for putting this in multiple vehicles, campers, or whatever your use case may be. This cable should be plenty long. All right, so ignore this mess of wires here. This is the fuse block that it came with. And while I was wiring it, I had to take off one end of it so I could fit this end of the positive through my little thing here. This is how I get all my cables. This one's for my sub. This one's for the other red one's for my trailer hitch connector, because this truck did not come with that. And I went ahead and I put cables through here, so that way it's pretty neat. I have the negative connected directly to the ground strap here, which goes onto the battery, and then I just need to reconnect this and we'd have power on the end. So that wire comes out under the footwell. It's kind of hard to show you, but I routed it behind here. So here you can see the wire coming along. I have it going under this trim piece. Ignore the messy car. Goes through here all the way back. And I actually used to have this inverter. This was like $20 I found somewhere. It's a 500 watt inverter. It is not pure sine wave. And it wasn't very good, but it worked for the time being. But I had it on this wood board, like right here. I'm gonna actually put the charger right here on this wooden board. All right, try to ignore the mess again, but all the cables are hooked up. Here's the one, here's the fuse block. I will probably mount it properly soon. I just want to do some testing for now. It is hooked up, it is going through. Here's the XT90. I went ahead and I mounted this to the wood board, so it is all good to go. It is not moving anywhere. And I did, it's hard to see, it's dark in here, but I put spacers here so that there is room for air to flow underneath the unit, so it's not straight up against the wood board. That way it can help with cooling. It does have a fan right here, which is really nice, but still want it to be able to cool as best as possible. So let's see, I'll go ahead and plug it in. All right, I have plugged it in. Now I'm gonna hit the power button. Okay, it looks like we do have power. Obviously the end is not plugged in yet, so we will not be seeing any output. So that's why it is going to keep blinking red. So when I bought this Pecron charger, I went ahead and bought this MC4 to XT60 connector. I already have one that came with the power station, but that will be used for solar and other things like that. So I went ahead and bought a small one so I can just permanently leave this in the vehicle. That way it's just here whenever I need it. I'll show you one more time. The input voltage range is 12 to 30 volts. The input current is 50 amps max. We've got an output voltage of 42 volts, output current of 13 amps max, and an output power of 500 watts max. Now, because the output voltage is 42 volts and the current is 13 amps, the Bluetti can take up to 58 volts and up to 10 amps, which means if this is doing 42 volts and this can only do 10 amps, we are going to be limited to 420 watts, which I knew beforehand. This is built for Pecron chargers. Even though it comes with MC4, you can connect it to anything that'll take 42 volts. And I knew it would not be able to output full power, but I'm still okay with 420 watts. That's plenty. It's only a 768 watt hour battery. It'll charge it very quickly. So the vehicle is turned off, and I'm just going to show you it is currently at the 13 volt selection. Is it selection 3 right there? That's how it came. I'm going to leave it like that. And yeah, so it should be on. Okay, we do have a blinking light there. So it is on. The vehicle is not on. So I hooked up this voltmeter. So we are currently at 12.13 volts. So what that means is if I plug it in, it should not start to charge the Bluetti. It should see that it is below the correct voltage. So we'll go ahead and plug it in here. Yeah, the Bluetti does not recognize that anything is coming into it. It doesn't think anything's plugged in. Go ahead and start the car. So now we're reading 14.06 volts roughly. So we're just above 14 volts. If we look back at the charger now, our light is green. So now we have a solid green status light. And I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the XT60 into the Bluetti. And we'll see what we get. I can hear the alternator starting to work a little harder on the vehicle. Alright, so we're sitting at 258 watts. So I went ahead and changed the charge mode on my Bluetti to turbo, and we are now seeing 414 watts input, and I have not changed anything here. So we got a solid red light, which means it is charging. Seeing 414 watts. We'll go check the voltmeter one more time. We're now at 13.89 volts. And remember, this is at idle, so when you're driving, your vehicle will have an easier time, that alternator. So yeah, we're seeing about 413 watts in. So here's a video of the app. You can actually see we're getting 413 watts in, and then when I click on it, it shows we're getting 41.2 to 0.3 volts at 9.9 amps. So our amps are pinned at 10. All right, so as you just saw on that screen, you could see how many volts and how many amps we were pulling. We're still getting about 400 watts. What I went ahead and I did is I cut open this little wire protector because I'm gonna see how many amps we are actually pulling from the truck's battery. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, let's zero this out one more time. Okay, go ahead and grab the negative cable. I just heard the fans kick on. All right, so it looks like we're pulling just about 36 amps from the truck's battery. I'm gonna go ahead and check the other cable too, just to make sure we're seeing consistent results. Yep, right at that 36 amp mark. That's about how much we're pulling from the truck. It's been charging for about 5 minutes now. We are still seeing 400 watts of input. This is outputting about 40 volts right now, and we are still seeing the max of 10 amps. As you can hear, the fan just came on, which it keeps coming on and off to make sure the unit stays cool. And so far, I'm having zero issues. All right, so I'm in the car, and that is the output that we are seeing right now or that's the input. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn off the truck, and we're gonna see how quick it shuts off. So I'm gonna turn off the car in 3, 2, 1. Okay, hold on, let me get the screen back on. Okay, so it like trickled down for a second, but then it's at 0 now. So that was pretty quick. Right as I turned the key, I think it went down to like 100, then it hit 60, and then basically just went to 0. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the truck back on and see if it starts charging again. Okay. Just thinking. I'm gonna unplug it until this stopped recognizing that it has a solar panel plugged in. And give it just a second. Okay, so now it thinks there's no solar panel. So let me try plugging it back in. All right, now it's charging. So I think that was because of the Bluetti wasn't pulling any more power after it turned off. So that was not the actual Pecron itself. That was the Bluetti thinking that the solar panel or whatever the MPPT controller thought it was not giving any power. I know Bluetti sells something similar to this. I think it's called the Charger 1, and it probably would work with this power station better, but this Pecron right here is on sale right now for only $150. And not only that, you get a 16-foot DC cable with a fuse to go with it. So you get everything you need to install this and run it. It came with MC4 connectors, meaning that you can connect whatever power station you have. I'm assuming your power station came with something for you to hook up a solar panel. Yeah, whatever cable comes with your power station you can use. And yeah, we'll check this one more time. Still getting in 400 watts. That means I'll be able to charge this on about a 2-hour drive, which is honestly perfect for my needs. That means if I'm going to be driving somewhere for 2 hours, this can be at 0 and I can charge it all the way to full, which is super nice to know. And in case I'm not getting solar for the day, I can let my truck idle for maybe 30 minutes just to keep my fridge running or something like that. So if you saw in the last few clips, the charge was starting to go down to about just 400 watts, and it was actually continuing to head down. It hit about 370 watts, and what I went ahead and did, I changed the starting voltage from 13 volts to 12.5. And because I changed it lower, the car was cold initially, so it was probably sitting at a higher RPM, making a lot of power. But as the RPMs were slowly dropping and the engine was warming up, the voltage went down, so it actually was making less power. But I just changed it to 12.5 volts, and we are now seeing back to 420 watts. So this starting voltage option is super important. If your car runs at about 14 volts, you're gonna wanna set it to 13. I have mine set to 12.5 because when my truck's actually running, it sits at about 13.4 to 13.6 volts. So that is why I have it set at 12.5. And that way it keeps my DC input pinned to as much as it can, which is about 414 watts. If you have any more questions regarding the charger, you can just leave them down below. I'd be happy to answer them. And yeah.